The world sees him as Superman, a man with power, fame, and everything money can buy. But what if I told you that behind the muscles, the success, and the spotlight, Henry Cavill carries a story of love that never found its ending, a heart that waited, a moment that never came, and a love that fame couldn't save? This is not the story you think you know. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an update. Dive into what really happened. Imagine a man admired by millions, a face recognized across continents, a hero celebrated as Superman, strong, fearless, almost unreal. But behind that powerful image lives a quiet truth, a heart carrying an emptiness no one applauds. Henry Cavill is not just a Hollywood superstar. To the world, he represents perfection, a flawless physique, undeniable charm, and unstoppable success. Wherever he goes, cameras follow. Red carpets roll out. Fans scream his name. From blockbuster films to magazine covers, everything seems to work in his favor. From the outside, his life looks like a dream many would give anything to live. But dreams, when viewed too closely, sometimes reveal cracks. Behind the flashing lights and confident smiles is a man who often walks alone. A man whose life is constantly observed, yet rarely truly understood. While the world celebrates his strength, very few notice the silence that follows him when the crowds fade and the lights turn off. This is not just a story about fame or success. This is a story about what fame costs. Because when the whole world belongs to you, sometimes no one truly does. Henry Cavill's journey reminds us that admiration does not equal connection. Applause does not replace companionship. And being loved by millions does not guarantee being loved deeply by one. As his career rose higher and higher, something else slowly slipped away. Normalcy. Simple moments. Private emotions. The freedom to love without judgment. Every smile became news. Every relationship became speculation. And every personal moment turned into public discussion. In that noise, true love struggled to survive. This is the story of loneliness hidden behind perfection. Of missed timing where love arrived when life was too fast to stop. Of emotions pushed aside because responsibility, ambition, and expectations demanded more. Because sometimes, the brightest stars shine the strongest not because they are full of light, but because they are surrounded by darkness no one sees. And this is where Henry Cavill's real story begins. Not as Superman, but as a man searching for something fame could never give him. Before Henry Cavill became a global icon, before the world knew his name or recognized his face, he was simply a young man with ordinary hopes and quiet dreams. Like anyone else, his biggest desire was not fame or applause. It was connection, real bond, something honest and meaningful. In those early years, Henry believed deeply in genuine love. A love that had nothing to do with movie roles, red carpets, or magazine covers. He dreamed of a relationship built on trust, understanding, and shared moments. He wanted someone who would see him beyond appearances, not as a future superstar, but as a man with emotions, insecurities, and dreams. He valued simple things. Long conversations. Loyalty over attention. Honesty over image. Emotional depth over surface-level attraction. To him, love was never about perfection, it was about presence. As his career slowly began to take shape, Henry worked hard but remained grounded. He trained relentlessly, faced rejection, and waited patiently for his moment. Success did not come overnight. There were years of struggle, auditions that led nowhere, and opportunities that slipped away. Through it all, he held on to the belief that one day, both his career and his personal life would fall into place. But as opportunities increased, something else quietly began to fade. Normal life. Small freedoms slowly disappeared. Privacy became rare. Personal time became limited. The ability to meet someone naturally, without expectations or curiosity, grew harder with each step forward. Love, which once felt simple and natural, slowly started to feel complicated and fragile. The more recognized he became, the more guarded his world became too. Conversations felt different. Intentions were harder to trust. And connections that once grew effortlessly now required caution. Fame was not yet complete, but its shadow had already arrived. Henry stood at a crossroads, chasing his dream while quietly losing the simplicity he once valued. Love was still important to him, but the world around him was changing faster than his heart could adapt. And in that transition, the young man seeking something real began to realize a painful truth. Sometimes the path to greatness slowly takes you away from the life you once imagined. This was the beginning, not of fame, but of the distance between love and destiny. Love did enter Henry Cavill's life, but it never came without weight, pressure, and sacrifice. As his fame grew, so did the invisible walls around him. What once felt private slowly became public. What once felt simple became complicated. Every relationship was no longer just between two people. It became a story for the world to judge. Media pressure was relentless. Every appearance, every smile, every silence was analyzed. Headlines were written before emotions had time to breathe. Public judgment turned personal moments into speculation, and fans' expectations added another heavy layer. To many, Henry was not allowed to be human. He was expected to be perfect. Henry himself has openly admitted that maintaining a relationship under constant spotlight is incredibly difficult. When you live your life in front of cameras, even love loses its privacy. Every step is watched, every choice is questioned, and every relationship becomes public property. There were moments when love needed time, quiet time, patient time. Moments when a relationship needed space to grow and heal. But instead, filming schedules called. Projects overlapped. Locations changed. Time zones separated hearts that already struggled to stay close. There were moments when a partner needed emotional presence. Someone to listen, to understand, to simply be there. But Hollywood demanded full commitment. Scripts, training, press tours, and expectations never paused. And slowly, absence began to replace closeness. Again and again, relationships were tested. Not by lack of feelings, but by lack of time. Distance grew silently. Conversations shortened. Misunderstandings deepened. What once felt strong began to feel fragile. And without privacy or peace, love struggled to survive. Eventually, those relationships did not end in loud arguments or dramatic moments. They faded quietly. Two people drifting apart, not because they stopped caring but because the world around them never slowed down. Not because love was absent, but because timing was cruel. Fame gave Henry Cavill everything he had worked for. Success, recognition, power. But it also took something precious in return. The chance to love freely, without pressure or interruption. This was the chapter where love didn't fail. Life did. And with every goodbye, Henry moved further into stardom. And further away from the simple love he once hoped to find. People often believe that a man who plays Superman must be invincible in real life. Fearless, unbreakable, untouched by doubt. But the truth is far more human and far more fragile. Behind the powerful physique, the confident posture, and the iconic smile stands a man who has known deep loneliness. Henry Cavill has openly shared that fame does not always bring closeness. Instead, it often creates distance, emotional, personal, and silent. When the cameras turn off and the crowds disappear, success can feel empty. In quiet moments, Henry found himself asking questions few would ever expect a global superstar to ask. Am I truly successful? Or am I just alone at the top? This question reveals the hidden weight of stardom. Being admired by millions does not guarantee being understood by even one. People saw Henry as strong, flawless, untouchable, but rarely as someone who needed emotional safety. Vulnerability became a risk, not a relief. The hardest part was being trapped inside a perfect image. The world demanded strength, confidence, and control, leaving little room for honesty or emotional exposure. To show weakness felt dangerous. To admit loneliness felt misunderstood. And so, he learned to carry his emotions quietly. The love that could have brought peace into his life faced an unforgiving reality. Sometimes it arrived too late, when life was already moving too fast. Other times it left too early, unable to survive the pressure and expectations surrounding him. In those moments, Henry was not Superman. He was simply a man wishing for connection. Fame protected his career, but not his heart. While audiences cheered his strength on screen, very few noticed the emotional armor he wore off-screen. His need for understanding, patience, and genuine companionship often remained unseen. And so, the Superman the world adored remained emotionally unprotected, admired, celebrated, and applauded, yet quietly alone. This chapter of his life reminds us of a powerful truth. Even the strongest heroes need someone who sees beyond the costume. Because no matter how high you rise, no matter how strong you appear, loneliness does not discriminate. And sometimes, the heaviest battles are the ones fought in silence. Henry Cavill's story leaves us with a powerful and honest truth. Fame does not guarantee happiness, and success can never replace emotional fulfillment. The world may offer applause, admiration, and endless recognition, but none of it can fill the quiet spaces of the heart. His love story remains unfinished. But unfinished does not mean broken. And it certainly does not mean meaningless. Some stories are not meant to reach a perfect ending. They exist to shape us, to teach us, and to remind us of what truly matters. Henry's journey shows that even at the highest level of success, the human need for connection remains unchanged. Perhaps somewhere, at the right moment, there is someone who will see beyond the fame. Someone who will look past the movie roles, the headlines, and the expectations. Someone who will choose Henry not for his stardom, but for his quiet strength, his honesty, and his deeply human heart. Because real love does not chase perfection. It embraces reality. This unfinished love may be what keeps Henry grounded in a world that constantly places him on a pedestal. While the world expects him to be superhuman, this missing piece reminds him that he is still human, capable of longing, hope, and vulnerability. There is strength in that. Some love stories are not written to be displayed in headlines or celebrated in fairy tale endings. They live quietly, shaping the soul rather than completing it. They leave behind lessons instead of closure. And sometimes, hope is more powerful than a happy ending. Henry Cavill's story reminds us that life is not a race to completion. It is a journey of moments, emotions, and growth. Love may arrive late. It may leave early. Or it may still be waiting, patiently, silently, for the right time. And that possibility alone keeps the story alive. Some stories don't end with happiness. They end with hope. Hope that love will arrive when the noise fades. Hope that connection will find its way through the chaos. Hope that even the strongest heroes will one day find a place to rest their hearts. And until that moment comes, the story continues, unfinished but far from over.